Okay, everyone. I would like to start off by saying thank you to the Little Shell tribe for allowing me to present to you all today. So here is a agenda of today's presentation. So there is the About Me, UIOs in Montana, Intro to Herbal Pharmacy, Sage, Sweetgrass, questions and discussion. And if here is my About Me. My name is Terryn Williamson. I am the cultural specialist at the Butte Native Wellness Center. So, Okinistuni Daniku Terryn Williamson, Amskapi Pikani. I was born and raised on the Blackfeet Reservation along the Two Medicine River, 12 miles south of Browning, Montana. I'm an enrolled member of the Blackfeet tribe, and after graduating high school in 2013, I attended the University of Montana. Due to personal circumstances of a loss, I went back home to Browning. I became a mother in 2015 and decided I will continue my education at the Blackfeet Community College and graduated as a certified nurse's assistant to better provide for my son. My life was not what I had hoped it to be. This realization prompted me to take control and make a positive change by relocating to Butte, Montana with my cousin's support in January of 2021. I put my caregiving experience to good use by securing a residence aide position at a local nursing home. However, I desired to do more for my new community. I discovered the Butte Native Wellness Center and decided to explore any potential job opportunities. In July of 2021, I landed a position as a medical receptionist, and over time, I transitioned to become a care navigator before ultimately settling in as a cultural specialist as of early of 2023. Here are some images of my what I consider home. In the top left corner, you are looking at a view of the Two Medicine Lake and mountains that surround it. I took this image last year while enjoying a ride through my people's traditional homelands, the Blackfeet Nation, which is Glacier National Park. To the top right corner, this is the Two Medicine River, which I grew up swimming in, I lived to next to my entire life. This is where my family currently lives and has lived for many, many years before me. And as you can see, my son and his dog are swimming in the same river. The lower left corner, here is a view from Browning, Montana. This is the place I was born and raised, and is the reason why I am the way I am today. The lower right-hand corner, finally, here is a picture of Butte, my current home. And the reason why I want to incorporate these pictures is because I want to give you all a visual of where I come from. Here is a list of urban Indian organizations. There is the Helena Indian Alliance, located in Helena, Montana, the Indian Family Health Clinic, which is in Great Falls, All Nations Health Center in Missoula, Billings Urban Indian Health and Wellness Center, which is in Billings, and finally the Butte Native Wellness Center. An urban Indian organization, or a UIO, is described by by the Indian Health Service as a nonprofit corporation located in an urban center with a board of directors, 51% of whom are American Indian and or Alaskan Native. Its primary purpose is to establish and manage an urban Indian health program and other associated activities as outlined in Title V of the Indian Health Care Improvement Act. There are 41 UIOs across the nation. There are 41 across the nation, and also there are 5 that reside in Montana. Here is a slide of the Butte Native Wellness Center. First, I would like to say with pride, I have witnessed the Butte Native Wellness Center's remarkable growth over the last 2 years. As our culture department also accomplished so much in the last 9 months, our team's expansion, along with the growth of various departments, has only strengthened our commitment to better serving the Native community. I'm grateful to be a part of the team and for the unwavering support that each member provides. The Butte Native Wellness Center is a certified outpatient clinic serving the American Indian and Alaskan Native communities of Butte, Montana, and the surrounding areas. Our clinic provides primary health and wellness services such as mental health, substance abuse recovery, diabetes care, education and prevention, and other primary healthcare essentials. We promote a healthy community for all patients with the goal of improving overall wellness. Here is a list of our services that we currently provide, and here is a staff photo. My job at the Butte Native Wellness Center as the cultural specialist is to promote cultural connectedness in an urban environment like Butte, Montana. One way I achieve this is for our patients that we see at the clinic. We offer a complimentary smudge kit that includes a abalone shell, matches, a small braid of sweetgrass, cedar, sage, and a pinch of ceremonial tobacco, all packaged in a cedar box. These boxes are refillable once a month. If a patient has questions regarding the tribal resources, I can help with that also. We also hold different events open to the public that involve storytelling, drumming, and more, including our herbal pharmacy, which I'm going to go into more detail. Besides my own duties that are linked with the cultural department, I will also be helping our registered nurse as a backup with our retina imaging, and I will also be assisting our psychiatric nurse practitioner, Hope, with our newest project, the Wellbriety and Talking Circle, as part of our recovery services. So what is the herbal pharmacy? The herbal pharmacy is made up of 13 different herbs that coincide with Native American culture across the nation. These clippings of herbs consist of sweetgrass, sage, cedar, tobacco, lavender, mint, mullein, bare root, osha, pine needles, which are now replaced with red Indian paintbrush, white flower yarrow, stinging nettle leaves, wild ginger, and wild rose petals. A small tie bag is given to the individual that can pack their bag however they like with whichever herbs they want. As they are reading the explanation of each herb, I remind them that they should have positive thoughts while handling these herbs because our energy can be transferred. And we always want good energy around us. We call these medicine bags because traditionally these herbs are all considered to be good medicine. For right now, our herbal pharmacy is only for aromatherapy only. We are currently in the process of implementing a consumption plan such as teas, but we want to have the proper training and thorough research before doing so. So that is in our herbal pharmacy's future. Going back to replacing the pine needles with red Indian paintbrush, as of right now, we had to make a slight change to the list of herbs due to pine needles rotting/molding. The first pine needles we had were kept in a airtight glass container, and after a few weeks, the staff and I started to notice that it was looking a little cloudy. Upon further investigation, we found what seemed to be mold starting to form. We knew it was from the condensation from the way the pine needles were packaged, so we placed the new pine needles in the container and left the lid off to create an airflow. But again, the pine needles did not want to stop molding. Then we noticed all the pine needles were in the packages were starting to mold also. I have them now waiting for the earth to get a little softer to bury them, to give them back to Mother Earth. And that night, as I went home, I was scrolling on Facebook, and one of my Facebook friends back home mentioned that she picked and had red Indian paintbrush at her wedding. I thought, oh, perfect. And I made sure that this plant holds medicinal properties just like the rest of the herbs currently on our list. And it does. So this could be discussed later in a later presentation. With that being said, I would like to put out a disclaimer about different uses that these plants may have regarding consumption. After doing research, BNWC does not support consumption at this time. Thank you. Why was it implemented? So the question, how did the herbal pharmacy come to be? Well, a member of the Blackfeet community worked for Zero Suicide, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on mental and behavioral health. He came to our center and introduced us to using traditional medicine to promote better well-being. We thought this was a great idea and tied it perfectly into the clinic that is native-centered. I am so grateful for this individual because he is a positive member of the Blackfeet community and loves to see the native people strive. So the reason why our herbal pharmacy was implemented was because our representation of ancestral plants and medicine provides an interactive and hands-on experience with sanitation precautions in place to ensure safety. These plants carry teachings that have been passed down for generations, originating from indigenous people of this land. Each plant holds a symbolic and sacred meaning, offering a sense of protection and healing. The grounding technique and our herbal pharmacy medicine bags correlate because both practices promote mindfulness and help reduce negative thoughts and feelings, such as anxiety. I personally use my medicine bag for when I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed. It helps me take the time to be in the moment and focus on only the contents of my bag, which is sweetgrass, sage, cedar, tobacco, and lavender. For me, I like to incorporate sweetgrass, sage, cedar, and tobacco because they are what I like to call the big four, because that's what they are, the four most important herbs for Native people. Who can access the herbal pharmacy? Our herbal pharmacy is available to anyone willing to make a medicine bag. That means we do not set limitations to anyone who would like to access our herbal pharmacy, unlike our smudge kits, which are reserved for patients only. Because we do hold public events and get recognized by outside organizations, we believe that it is only right to offer these herbs to everyone. Where do we obtain our herbs? As of right now, we order our herbs preferably local or native-owned businesses, and all of our herbs get shipped from across the country. Like Connect Co. is based out of Illinois, Meadowlark is in Missoula, Magic Brands is in California, Grassroots is in Florida. And these are all small businesses and family owned. Prairie Edge Sioux Trading Post, which is located um, in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, has also been one of our herb suppliers. With that being said, I am currently in the process of learning the proper ways of how to forage our own traditional plants in the surrounding areas. Not only are we gaining our knowledge from our community of pro gardeners, but also from the elders that I have the privilege of learning from back home on the Blackfeet Reservation. And if anyone has any resources that they would like to share with us regarding obtaining plants locally, please let me know through my email. Here are pictures of two of the herbs that we will be discussing today in today's presentation. We fashioned them into clippings to make them easier and accessible for people to make into their medicine bags. Because along with these, we have tongs and little wooden spoons that I wipe off after every interaction. Plans moving forward. As our clinic grows, this gives our cultural department a opportunity to expand as well. Our first-hand experience at gardening this past summer was a successful one. I will go into more detail with that later in the presentation. With the relationships we have gained over the past year when it comes to holistic approaches in gardening, we are confident in our decision to not only grow our own herbs, but to be able to forage and gift them to our patients and the community as well. So, our herbal pharmacy has been an inspiration to the urban Indian health clinic across the nation, including Denver Indian Health and Family Services. Denver was so influenced and moved by our project that it motivated them to put together their own herbal pharmacy project also. They introduced the four sacred herbs, sweetgrass, sage, cedar, and tobacco, during their pilot launch. We were told of their community's excitement about the medicine bags and have provided over 130 bags within 1 month span. BNWC was then featured in presentations for the National Council of Urban Indians, and that is what got us our recognition. Okay, so the first herb I want to get into for today's presentation is sage. And before we begin to discuss the two main topics of today's presentation, I would like to first point out that I do not claim nor do I have any types of medicine man or woman title. Also, I want to address that although these plants are considered ceremonial, I will not be going into details about any type of ceremony practices. That's just how I was raised. There are crucial details when it comes to ceremonies that I have no rights to be discussing. What I am going to share with you all is my own knowledge from my upbringing, information that I have gathered from elders and tribal members from different tribes, and my own exploration and study of each plant. Thank you. As I was saying, um, today's first herb is going to be sage. Sage. So Artemisia, which has 200 to 400 species that can be found in British Columbia, all the way to south of California, New Mexico, Montana, Colorado, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. Sagebrush or Artemisia is also wind pollinated. In the next column, you will find sage or salvia. Salvia has around 3,000 species, and since it is a garden plant, these can grow almost anywhere in the right conditions. This is a bee or a stamens pollinated. Stamens is the center of most flowers where the nectar comes from, but this plant has insects or bees to help them by landing on their leaves and allowing the leaves to dip into the stamen, which creates the pollination process. Due to the vast majority of species of each type of sagebrush and sage, I was able to break it down into four groups. The image in the left-hand corner is the localized variety of Artemisia tridentata in Montana, which is a native species to the plains area. This is the most common sagebrush that you will see in and around mountainous and plains area. This plant, the Artemisia tridentata, has bark or tree-like properties compared to the image to the bottom left-hand corner. This plant is called the Artemisia ludoviциana, or white sage or prairie sage, and which does not grow in typical sagebrush form, but both are from the daisy and the sunflower family. If you notice the difference between the sagebrush and the prairie sage stands alone, but rather than groups up into branches like the sagebrush. In the top right-hand corner is Salvia alpina, or California white sage. This is part of the mint family and is actually the most common white sage on the market, which makes this plant categorized under overharvest. Salvia officinalis, or culinary sage, which is more likely to be found in your kitchen spice rack. This is actually part of the mint family also. Slide. Because these are native in Montana and the ones we currently harvest and use, I was able to narrow it down to one ecotype of sage compared to the 27 different species of woody and non-woody sagebrush that grows in Montana, which is the Montana white sagebrush or the Artemisia ludoviciana. Here is a diagram according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Montana Field Guide of Plants. This is the species of sage Native Americans use for both medicinal and ceremonial purposes. The scientific name is, like I said, Artemisia ludoviciana, and you can either start from the bottom because the it does come from the plant kingdom, which encases everything that it consists of, which is the division, class, order, family, genus, and then the species. The characteristics of white sage or prairie sage um, is considered a perennial plant, meaning that it goes from seed to mature plant or flower and then back to seed, whereas an annual plant will only have one life cycle. This process is done by going dormant in the winter, usually between October and March. Um, Propagation, the process of new plants is caused by rhizomes, which help the plant self-seed and spread throughout the area like weeds. Rhizomes can be found right underneath the soil and are white looking compared to the roots. Just like in the list you see, it is a white or grayish greenish color, and it's kind of fuzzy also, like kind of woolly feeling. Um, it does have that strong odor of sage, clustered stems. It can be 1 to 2 1/4 feet tall, alternating leaves. And in this diagram, I like to put on here, I couldn't find one of the sage, but I did find one for flowers, which is um, the sage is part of the daisy and sunflower family. So right here on the bottom, you can see the roots, which is right here, and then up further is the rhizomes, which go into the stems, and the stems create the alternating leaf, which is like this compared to a blade of grass, and then finally the flowering heads. Here I've compiled a list of names for the Artemisia ludoviциana, or the prairie sage. These names come from all regions that are familiar with it. The different uses of sage. So as I was growing up, I was always taught that sage rids negative energy. That's why I put it on the list of uses. But the different uses for sage really varies on the type of sage that it is native or planted in that area. For example, garden sage is used for culinary, but different sagebrush bark was made into shoes by different natives of the area. The uses also depend on which tribe the sage is coming from. White sage tea was a remedy for stomach ailments used among the Dakotas and the Kiowas. Some even chewed the stems and the leaves, then swallowed the juices from that. Tribes like the Cheyenne and the Omaha, they used to use the leaves to help stop nosebleeds, and the Mesquite tribe used the leaves to treat tonsillitis and sore throat, along with using the sage to cure long-standing sores. The Crow tribe made a salve mixed with crushed sage leaves and neck fat from a buffalo. The salve, this salve would help with sores. The Blackfeet tribe used to call this giver of breath because when used as a steam vapor, it can help with respiratory problems. Also listed was deodorizer, and also some tribes used it to regulate menstruation problems. And these are all things for sage. I will be going on to the next herb, which is sweetgrass. Here is a picture of braided sweetgrass, which is probably the most common form. The scientific name for sweetgrass is Hierochlore odorata. There are around 30 species and subspecies in this class. Because it is part of the grass family, they also spread by rhizomes. Here is another triangle diagram of the classification of the plant. In this diagram, you'll notice subspecies, subdivision, subclass has been added because this grass is in a higher classification, meaning it can be broken down even more than it already is. And this diagram is classification of the subspecies spirit germplasm. Characteristics. Just like sage, sweetgrass is perennial, so that means that they also go dormant in the winter, and they also spread by rhizomes. Also, sweetgrass literally looks like grass, so it can be very tricky to identify the right one. The different names. Other names used to describe sweetgrass is vanilla grass, manna grass, and holy grass. The scientific name Hierochlore means holy, and odorata means grass. So I think they decided a perfect scientific name for sweetgrass. The different uses, just like I explained in the sage different uses, I like I was raised that sweetgrass always promotes happiness and protection. So I use that in my everyday. smudging. But the significance of sweetgrass can be different to different tribes. Just like I mentioned in the beginning slide was that the most common form of sweetgrass is more than likely braided. This braid is used to smudge to promote happiness and positivity. Other uses that other tribes, including the Blackfeet, Cheyenne, Thompson Indians, and Grovon, carried or washed themselves with this sweet plant for the aroma effect. The Kurok of the Northern California made an infusion for women who suffered from miscarriages. And then on the East Coast, basket weaving was incorporated sweetgrass, and they also incorporated it into their cradle boards. So that was on the East Coast, which is like the Iroquois and the Mohawks and those guys. Okay. In this slide, I'm sorry it's being a little funny here. I will read this slide to you because it's not showing correctly. It says spirit germplasm, sweetgrass. And the image you see is the Sweetgrass Hills. The Sweetgrass Hills of Toole County, Montana, was the site of collection for this particular species, which was then compared to samples taken from South Dakota, Colorado, Kansas, Michigan, and North Dakota. So spirit germplasm holds a special place in my heart because the sample extracted for testing came from the Sweetgrass Hills, which is a very sacred place to the Blackfeet Nation. We call this place Gatuiksix, meaning Sweet Pine Hills, but it's also named after Gatuis, which is blood clot, who was a hero amongst the Piikani. And this was the site where he defeated the lizard man in one of his creation stories. Napi, old man, was creating the world, and as he finished up the Rocky Mountains, he had some leftover rocks in his pocket. This is where he decided to gift the plains with the Sweetgrass Hills, which he favored very much. A lot of the traditional Blackfeet stories are featured in or around the Sweetgrass Hills. But we are not the only tribe who find these hills sacred. The Chippewa Cree of Rocky Boy also have a story relating to the power and the significance of the Sweetgrass Hills. And this story takes place where a man asks a rancher for directions to the West Butte to go fast. The rancher says, "Since you're praying, how about you ask the Great Spirit to water my crops?" The man agreed and he set off on his journey. Well, the Creator filled the man's wishes and more rainwater, but they soon found out how powerful this land was because the simple rain quickly turned to a flood. The man retreated inside the hole named Devil's Chimney, and after he emerged from the hole, he can only be described as reborn because as he took a look out, he was only greeted by the beauty that was held within the Sweetgrass Hills. So that is just another quick little story, creation story regarding the Sweetgrass Hills. Other tribes that find the hills sacred are the Aani, Nakota, Blackfeet, Grovon, Chippewa Cree, and Kootenai. It's a lot of the northern tribes and the tribes that spread across the plains. Spirit germplasm has reigned supreme to all other samples, which outperformed in categories such as survival, speed rate, leaf length, biomass production. And after seeing all the cultural connection and overall performance compared to other sweetgrass species in the nation, it makes me very proud to announce that BNWC's cultural department has their very own sweetgrass germplasm growing of our own. With her permission, she has allowed me to speak on her behalf of the work she has done. Um, Van Moselic is one of the three known sweetgrass gardeners that I know of in the state of Montana, and she has been growing and harvesting sweetgrass since 2009 on the outskirts of Whitehall, Montana. In this slide, you will see that I have wrote, oh, that you will see the tag that our sweetgrass bundle was gifted to us as she walked in with our starters also. With her years of experience, she says that she has learned more than that she can imagine. Her connection with these plants are inspirational. She handles them as if they were her own children. The respect and love given to these plants are why I like to believe that Van has a gift. In June of 2023, Van stopped by our clinic with two plastic green containers and these green leaves sticking out of the soil. I asked her graciously, "What are these?" And she replied, "Your new babies." She gifted us two starters of the spirit germplasm. In December, she paid us a visit at the clinic and asked us how our starters went. We explained to her that of our process, and with much excitement, she told me out of the hundreds, maybe even thousands of starters, she only knows of 4 people who have been able to successfully plant and grow. We are that fourth person, which makes us very proud because they are described as poor seed set, meaning they are very picky on where they want to grow. I know I was taught that sweetgrass will even lay down and hide from you if it does not want you to find it. So I am not surprised that there were only 4 of us that were successful to grow this plant. With little experience in gardening, our tiny but mighty cultural department decided to take on the challenge of planting our starters. The cultural specialist that was before me tried planting sweetgrass indoors but had a failed attempt due to no interaction with Mother Nature. The NWC has reserved our own planting beds at Butte Community Garden. We thought it would be a good place to start, seeing we had limited space. We planted one starter in the middle of the bed, fenced off, and surrounded by a variety of vegetables. We decided for our own observation studies, let's see how the other starters will do at our residence. Both grew as we expected. Over the next few months, we did our research and on how and when to transport. At the end of August slash beginning of September, we knew it would be a good time to transport as they were getting ready to go dormant for the season. We first identified the sweetgrass by examining the leaves with the reddish slash purplish stem towards the root. Once we found this, we slowly and carefully started extracting the grass by uncovering the earth, which then would expose the rhizomes. These rhizomes were very prominent compared to the roots because they were practically white and bent into an L shape. This is how rhizomes spread without going further deeper into the soil. We had pots filled with suitable soil for the plants to go dormant in. We then transported these plants to Leah's residence, my manager, where it was then exposed to natural elements, just as it was intended. For future plants, our sweetgrass varies on space available. If anything, we will keep them in a private bed until our center is ready to welcome new projects involving plants. These images were taken during the summer of 2023. As you can see, this is our plant bed located at the Butte Community Garden. Amy, our BNWC's registered dietitian, also grew a variety of herbs and vegetables in this bed. Those went to our patients with our center's food pharmacy, a great program that follows the My Native Plate. Here is a slide of our text messaging service program, which is the Caring Contacts. I am the I'm the one that oversees this program currently. So if you would like to join, please send me your information through email or you can call me. And my email and phone number is located on the slide. And I only need your name and your phone number if you would like to join. And if you would like to join, I can send you over more information. Here is a slide of our February events. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we hold weekly and monthly events. Here's a list of dates and times. I'm just going to do a quick summary of each event we hold in no particular order. So our weekly event is our beading workshop that allows the public to learn a new hobby. We provide all the materials. All you need to do is show up. We also partner with the Butte Historic Clark Chateau Museum and Gallery to host quarterly beading workshops, which for February will be Valentine's/Heart themed. Our gardening and seed library workshop involves the Butte Community Garden where our garden beds are located. This will be an educational and hands-on experience. Drumming Circle and Supper and Stories are the center's longest running monthly events. Our drumming circle is hosted by Kim Boyle, who is a member of the Little Shell tribe. It's like a prayer circle. It can be very moving as I attend every month to support Kim. Our Supper and Stories is run by myself and our registered dietitian, Amy. Each month we feature a different tribe. For January, we featured the Navajo tribe. Um, I find different stories from their tribe that correlate with our meal, and the supper portion is based on the tribe's traditional foods and served as the My Native Plate has intended, which is a food guide to proportion control and healthy habits that is native centered. BNWC also started a book club that creates a connection through culture and literature. This is done by featuring Indigenous authors and books relating to Native people. And finally, my presentations on traditional medicines that are on the third Friday of every month from 2 to 4 p.m. virtual. Um, and I would just like to say thank you for listening to me. Our February presentation will be focused on cedar and tobacco. And please let me know what your thoughts are. Um, my email is on the Caring Contact slide. Thank you for having me.